Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I'm not strong enough, or I'm not smart enough. This is too hard, or even this is impossible. As we hear and observe in our young people the rising of anxiety, these phrases become very common in our homes as our children prepare either for school or for sports. Whatever it is, whatever competitive thing they're involved in, or just getting through the school year. These words that Paul in his epistle today would call despair. I'm not strong enough. I can't do it. It's just not possible. He says that we're perplexed, but we don't fall into despair. He says the whole world might squeeze in around us, but we're not crushed. Maybe worse than these statements of despair, that I can't do something, that something is without or outside of my reach, is the opposite. Everything is within my reach and only within mine. I'm the only one who can do this. I can't retire yet. If I leave, the whole place will fall apart. I'm the only one on my team who knows how to do this. Let me do it. I can do it quicker. Those aren't sounds of despair, but they're no better than thinking I can't do it. See, thinking I can't do it, or being sure that only I can do it, takes God out of the equation and leaves us as the only actors and agents within our lives. St. Paul tells us today that we hold his glory in earthen vessels, so that we might understand that the power belongs to him and not to us. Earthen vessels, in the ancient world, those were the weakest kinds of pots. They couldn't withstand changes in temperature. They couldn't withstand the rain. Earthen vessels were the very weakest things. And St. Paul is saying we are in fact earthen vessels. We are in fact very, very weak. But Christ, in the greatest moment of the weakness of humankind, as he hung on the cross, triumphed over death, and showed forth his glory. And St. Paul says, I will boast about nothing except for my weakness. With God, weakness is made strong, is transformed, and overcome. And so what St. Paul is telling us today is not to be afraid of moments of weakness, but also not to hold on to our own agency and strength, to think we can do things without God. He lists off a few things. He says we are afflicted but not crushed, perplexed but not driven to despair, persecuted but not forsaken, struck down but not destroyed. And he says that all of these things happen to us so that we might die and have the life of Christ within us. He's saying when we are perplexed or confused, or we reach an impasse, either because we think we can't move on, or because we think we're the only ones who can move on, we face some struggle, some discomfort, and some pain. And today, St. Paul is telling us that struggle, that discomfort and pain is God wresting control away from you. That is God asking that your needs, your wants, your desires, and your perceptions die away, so that he can be the one to accomplish what needs to be accomplished within your life, so that he can give you strength when you are weak, and he can humble you when you are proud, so that his life can be manifest in your own. But if our own strong beliefs about our abilities or inabilities push him out, they must die. We must be realistic with ourselves about our abilities, but not despair for things that are beyond them. Because, as Paul says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. At the same point, I can do nothing without Christ. So if I am too sure of myself, my pride needs to die. This is the only way that we can live up to the name that we are called, which is Christians. Those who bear Christ, those who have him dwelling within us and live according to his life, according to his will, according to his desires, and not according to our own. Yes, we'll face things outside of our reach. Yes, we might be very good. But if our need or our belief about our abilities or inabilities does not contain Christ within it, then it must die. We must reshape our self-perceptions. We must reshape our needs and our wants so that it is the life of Christ that strengthens these earthen vessels. Amen.